We had a women's march in London last weekend for what reason, God only knows, because women in the UK have exactly the same rights as men. They have a lot more protections in terms of care, in terms of abuse, in terms of psychological trauma support than men. But no, that's not enough, apparently. So there was a women's march for no particular purpose. There's no gender pay gap. It doesn't exist. It doesn't account for the fact that men work more hours. But they had a march anyway. Now, I've been trying to find details, and I just can't seem to pin them down, of the feminist march this coming weekend against the industrial level abuse of over 1,000 young girls for a period of over 40 years, 40 years, in Telford, which is a town in England. Now, you would think that feminists support the right of young girls to not be drugged, to not be abducted, to not be raped, to not be abused, in one case, to not be killed. You would think that that would be an important women's rights issue, especially given the fact that it's not just this one case, that we've literally had probably a dozen of these cases over the past few years, where we have the industrial level abuse of young girls by Muslim grooming gangs. And in the Daily Mail, the Daily Mirror, expose of this, which came out on Sunday, they couldn't even mention the fact that they were Muslim. They said they were Bangladeshi, Pakistan. Of course, we know what those people have in common. This is a massive problem, but a major national newspaper is afraid to even use certain language because we have de facto blasphemy laws in this country which prevent us from even talking about it in many cases. Tory MP, reports Breitbart, BBC not standing up for white working class after ignoring Telford scandal. This is Lucy Allen MP, who said she was pushing to ask an urgent question in Parliament on Tuesday, as well as revealing she'll be demanding an inquiry into the scandal. Well, we know already why this scandal happened from the original early reporting is because social services, authorities and police were so petrified of, God forbid, being called racist that they refused to properly investigate, to properly prosecute the culprits. So the BBC ignored this story for about 24 hours after it came out on Sunday. It was the biggest story in the country by far. The BBC ignored it for about 24 hours. They finally put out an article in like the local section of their website. Wasn't even on the front page. They buried it beneath all these other articles. The pressure that causes finally prompted the BBC to give this top billing that it deserves. But another example of how this is covered up, not just by the authorities, but by the media itself, the leading media lights in the United Kingdom. There's a Hill article, report hundreds of girls raped and forced into prostitution in small English town, which goes through the history of it. Absolutely incredible. Where is the feminist march this weekend? That's my question. You marched last weekend for no discernible reason. Now we have yet another example of the industrial level abuse of young girls in one town in our country for 40 years. One of many. Where's the march? Where's the protest? Ain't going to happen because feminists don't give a damn about actual women's rights. They don't give a damn about young girls being abused. They only care about obtaining power because feminism has been hijacked as a far left crusade. That's why there won't be any marches. Let's head to Europe now for the latest in cultural enrichment news. This is out of Voice of Europe. Greek woman gang raped by migrants after visiting refugee solidarity event. Refugees welcome. The 23-year-old Greek woman and her boyfriend relived scenes of horror in the court of Thessaloniki last week. The woman was gang raped by 3 migrants from Syria and Algeria more than a year ago. This happened in October 2016. It's just in court. They actually went to a refugee solidarity event. And right next to it, this woman was gang raped. Absolutely incredible. You hear some of the stories that came out of Calais of similar circumstances, where in many cases the volunteers who went there to help were the victims of this. And then they actually didn't speak out about it because they were like, oh my God, I might be called racist. I won't tell the police that I've just been gang raped. Absolutely incredible. In Sweden, their government is encouraging, actually spending millions to encourage migrant background citizens to vote in September election. So Sweden's got a big September election coming up where it's basically their last chance to save their country. And the current liberal lefty establishment government in charge is literally dropping nearly $1 million in these no-go suburbs of Sweden, which we've all seen the horrible footage out of reporters being attacked, people being chased off, ambulance, fire, police being attacked. They're dropping $1 million in those areas to get those migrants to vote in the election. The very same migrants who have created, in many cases, the soaring violent crime and parallel societies that have basically turned Sweden into a meme. So the government of Sweden is paying money to destroy Sweden. Absolutely insane stories continue to pour out of Europe.